thought it was funny. Yeah. Talk whack to me. Talk whack to me. Yeah. Talk whack to me. Talk whack to me. What's up, Wackians? Okay, now you know we gotta go ahead and talk about it. So Family Guy had an old episode, I think that came out of like 2021, that's making fun of Nipsey Hussle, has been put out on, the socials, and everybody's got an opinion about it. They are pretty upset. A lot of people are upset about it. Some people laughing at the joke. So pretty much it's stated in there by the character Chris, which is the son. He says they going to some concert and they got holograms of Tupac and Nipsey Hussle, who I knew nothing about and was told by everybody to care about after he died or something like that. It's pretty much saying that nobody knew who Nipsey Hussle was until he passed away. Now, understandably so, it's got a lot of people upset, especially a lot of people from the West Coast and the LA where Nipsey's from, and where arguably, or I don't even think it's arguable, but like pretty much where his biggest impact was, in Los Angeles area on the West Coast, where, he was a big part of that culture, and a lot of people had a lot of love and respect for Nipsey. So you can understand why they would be upset. And look, I'm not mad at nobody for feeling type of way about a joke if they didn't like it or whatever. But my thing is, for me personally, nothing's off limits when it comes to comedy, and you have a right to make your jokes how you want to. I do say exercise some caution when it's a death that's too close. But even at the point of the episode coming out, it had been 2 years, and to me, that's fair game to make little slide jokes. Again, you're not going out of nowhere saying he's a crappy person. It's more of making a joke about the situation, which I thought was funny, or which I thought was crazy at the time. And a lot of people were calling this out, how people were bigging up Nipsey Hussle, and it was like, well, where was all this love when he was alive? He didn't even have half of the amount of love he got from people, when he was alive. So it was a lot of fake love, a lot of just doing what the popular thing was and shouting out Nipsey. You may not even been listening to his music, or you heard a couple songs or whatever and was just trying to ride the bandwagon with everybody else. And so the Family Guy episode and the joke itself, while maybe not being the funniest joke in the world, was actually speaking to that of, yeah, we're just posers acting like, oh yeah, we're going to be a part of this whole thing with Tupac and Nipsey and like love Nipsey. But if we being honest, I didn't even know who he was, but now we supposed to like him, so we like Nipsey, and that's the truth. That's what it was. So, you already know my take on it. I have been saying that Nipsey Hussle has been overblown, not because of his talent or his heart or anything like that, but by people just trying to capitalize on his popularity since his passing. Now, the reason he got big and more popular is because after he passed away, we start hearing all the stories about what he did for the community, and his interviews started getting more views, and the way he spoke and the things he talked about, you really got to see how much of how smart of a brother he was, and how much of a critical thinker he was, and how he was really trying to improve his community and just improve life of people all around. You got to hear his mindset and his hustle and all that type of stuff. And so it just endured him to a big group of people. But if we being honest, yes, Nipsey Hussle was not a big rapper. He was not a big artist. He was cool. He had his fan base. He had a solid fan base. He could perform. He could put out music. He could do his thing. He could make a living off of that. But he was not the level of artist that they put on him after he passed away. People don't want to hear that, especially LA people. They going off. Just about the only LA person that's keeping it real on the Nipsey Hussle situation is WACC 100. And sometimes he might go a little too far with the words he used, but in all honesty, WACC is right. Nipsey was never a legend. He got big after his passing for the work he did in his community and the way he talked and the way he thought. But if you're talking about his music, it was never something that was like changing the game. It wasn't like an event when Nipsey put stuff out. Nipsey wasn't looked at as one of the hottest rappers in the game. He wasn't one of the rappers you tried to get on your song so that maybe you get some more views. He was a well-respected dude in the game, and big names appreciate him. Jay-Z had him signed to, I think, Rock Nation, and Jay-Z, supported Nipsey Hussle when he was selling his albums for like $100 each. He had 1,000 copies for $100 each, and Jay-Z bought 100. Like, there was a respect for the craftsmanship, for the art between the two of them. But honestly, as far as like nationwide and fans and pop culture and just relevancy and impact, none of that was felt from Nipsey until after he died, after he passed away. Now, sadly so, I have nothing but respect for Nipsey Hussle and his legacy. And I'm happy that people are aware of who he is, but we have to stop this faking and stop pretending like this is just what it was from the beginning. No, maybe in LA, but around the world it was not. And that's okay. It didn't have to be that way. And we don't have to try to recreate the history, we don't have to try to recreate history in some attempt to show respect or love for Nipsey because we think it's disrespectful to tell the truth. It's not. And as far as the Family Guy joke, for all the crazy jokes that Family Guy come in with and how disrespectful they can be, that was light work. Again, if you want to be upset about that, be upset about it. I get it. But honestly, if you're being real honest with yourself, the reason why that joke hits a little bit is because there's a lot of truth to it. You can deny it all you want to, but the facts are the facts and numbers are the numbers, and his numbers was nowhere near what you would call a legendary act until after he passed away, he got a bump up. And yes, everybody gets a bump up when they pass away, but that's usually, that bump up is usually followed by, before they pass away, millions and millions and millions of records. And it was not in the case of Nipsey Hussle. I'm sorry. Now, we all love Nipsey. We all support Nipsey's movement, and we all want things to continue to go for his family, his kids moving forward, right? And we can all agree with that. With that being said, I laughed at the Family Guy joke. I didn't think it was the funniest joke in the world, but I laughed at it because of how true it was. It was like a chuckle, like, ha, oh yes, that's true, that's right, that's real. So if you're gonna be mad at me for that, hey, be mad at me for that. I don't care. I don't see no problem with making jokes like that. I think one of my favorite shows is South Park, and they go even grittier than Family Guy. And I can laugh at all that dark humor. If that's not your taste, I get it. But hey, that it is what it is. At the end of the day, I don't think that this should get that much of attention. That outrage, selective outrage. Because if Family Guy made a joke about a white dead person, y'all wouldn't care. So let's stop the cap. And Family Guy makes a lot of white people jokes. So jokes at white people's expense, or individual white people, or just white people in general. So let's stop all this racist stuff on top of that. All right, equal opportunity jokes for everybody, but let's end this with love. We love you, Nipsey, and the marathon continues.
Yeah.
Talk whack to me. Talk whack to me.
Yeah.
Talk whack to me. Talk whack to me.